I am absolutely thrilled to be able to introduce a colleague from just down the road a ways, Trine University. We have AI strategist Shea Frates with us, and she is going to help us as learners learn how to leverage AI to really supercharge our studies and really help us to go beyond the basics of memorizing stuff to really using a tool for critical thinking and collaboration and creation. So Shay, we are so thrilled that you are here. Thanks for taking the time to be with us. I'm going to turn it over to you.
Great, Kelly. Thank you so much, and thank you for welcoming me to this wonderful event. My name is Shea Frates, and I am an assistant professor of business at Trine University in Angola, Indiana. Previously, I was teaching at Concordia University Irvine in their MBA program, and I have been a digital strategist for the past 12 years. Since ChatGPT launched in November of 2022 to the general public, I've been very fascinated with all things AI. And in my role as a strategist, I really saw how this was going to impact me. At the time, I was working at Pacific Life Insurance Company. They're headquartered in Newport Beach, California, and how AI technology was not only going to automate, but it would really just make my job so much easier. As I started teaching adjunct at the time, I wanted to incorporate AI more into the classroom. And so I was creating really interesting projects and ideas just to tie things back to real life situations. Now, in my full time role, I am in a really unique position because we're hearing a lot about AI technology and cheating in higher education and just in education and in general. So, one of my main challenges this semester was how am I going to teach my students to use AI ethically, but then also helping them personalize their learning journeys? So, within the first 2 weeks of all of my courses, my students had received an AI certification either from Anthropic or from Google. And week over week, we're actually using some of these AI tools that I'm going to demo to you today to help them study the materials for their classes. So, without further ado, I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to share this to the main session and I'm going to select, I'm going to do my entire screen and I'm going to allow. Oops, that is doing an interesting share. Let me go to Mozilla. Okay. And I'm going to switch over to my notebook. Perfect. Okay, so if you have access to Google, I'm going to ask you to please log into your Google or your Gmail account. You'll notice on the top right-hand corner is my icon. It's colored over here because I do have the paid version, which is the Pro, but you don't have to have the paid $20 monthly minimum in order to access this tool. They are all free for everyone to use. I'm going to take us over to this study guide that I've actually created for one of my courses after I demo how to first create a new notebook. So if you want to follow along with me, please navigate over to notebooklm.google.com and click Create New Notebook. And from there, Notebook is going to ask you to add your sources. So it says that sources let the Notebook LM base its responses on the information that matters most to you. So some of the examples that it's giving us are things like marketing plans, course reading, research notes, meeting transcripts, sales documents, or whatever your heart desires. For this particular instance, I will be actually starting with a website URL. I haven't tested this out. I do have the PDF version as well, but you're more than welcome to access any documentation from your Google Drive. You can pull directly from the URL or YouTube. And why Google is actually referencing YouTube is that YouTube is owned by Google. So you'll find anytime in Google search or in their Gemini app or their algorithm, it will more oftentimes than not actually reference YouTube content, which I think is a really cool feature. You can also copy and paste your text as well. This is actually the method that I encourage my students to do when they're sharing their textbooks. But for now, I'm going to go over and I'm going to grab this URL. Google recently just published a paper, so I'm really curious to see if this link works. And if not, I have the actual file itself. So we are now in our untitled notebook, and it looks like it's loading everything from the URL. It is populating. Perfect. And it automatically gave it a title. So AI augmented personalized textbooks with Learn Your Way. Later on in this session, I will be talking about this new feature that Google is launching, but I just wanted to start with the PDF version. And if you go over here, it's roughly 15 pages of very intense reading. I don't know if everyone has the time or the patience to read all of this. So for now, I'm just asking Google to summarize. So it's talking a little bit more about this feature that's coming out. It's an AI experiment developed by Google's Learn LM team. It uses generative artificial intelligence to transform traditional learning materials. What's so cool about it is it can actually customize based off of the grade level and the topic of interest. But what I want to take you over to is a studio section, and that's really where the power of NotebookLM lies. So when you upload your content into the sources, you navigate over to Studio, I'm going to click this audio overview. And it says that we can generate an AI podcast based off of our sources. So I'm going to get that generated. It's going to take a couple minutes, so we're going to circle back to that. I'm also going to ask it to develop an video overview. And this is essentially a slideshow presentation that is fully generated by Google with an AI generated voiceover. I also love that, and that takes a little bit. Now we get into our mind map area, so I'll generate that as well. Reports is rather extensive. So this is a newer feature that Google has launched. We can create our own report, or it can generate things like a briefing document, a study guide, or even a blog post. This new feature is actually called our suggested formatting. So based off of the research paper that I have uploaded from Google, it is recommending things such as a research proposal, a white paper, a concept explainer, or an informal summary. So this is really great for marketers as well. So if you want to take a very complex document that you're working on internally, turn it into that blog post or that white paper, or even a social media piece of content, I think it's great. I think for now, just out of curiosity, I'm going to generate a study guide. I wanted to test and quiz me on that. A newer feature that was also launched were flashcards. So I want to generate those and a quiz, and a quiz as well. So let's see if those are generating. So we have our mind map so far. So let's navigate to that. Great. So our mind map has been generated and it has pulled content directly from the PDF that I uploaded. So I broke it up into various sections. So we have our fundamental textbook limitations, the approach with Learn Your Way, personalization, content transformations, practice and assessment, and efficacy study results. I think for now, I'm really curious about the personalization step, which is step one. And it breaks it up even further into adaptation to grade level and adaptation to interests. If I were wanting to learn more about the grade level, let's just say I click that. It's going to generate a question in the center section in the chat. So I'm asking it to discuss what these sources say about re-leveling in the larger context of that personalization step. And it breaks it up and it really tells me in more detail about its approach to the two key concepts. And it even cites within the PDF itself. So I think that's a fantastic way to continue to learn as well. If we were to expand it even further, it has matches. Oops, let me zoom in a little bit further. Okay, so it goes even further here. And if I wanted to expand, let me go back. I would just click that and it jumps to the bottom. Just wanted to see, okay. Yeah, so it's creating that quick mind map overview. It's not my favorite feature. I'm more interested in the audio overview that's been generating. What I tend to do is when I'm driving to class and I'm preparing for some lectures, I actually upload in preparation the textbook chapter for the week. I get the Notebook LM connected to my cell phone and I connect the podcast to my car. And it's a really easy way for me to digest that information. So it looks like we have our study guide generated as well. So this is a study guide that is targeted towards AI augmented textbook. It was designed to test and reinforce your understanding of the research paper towards an AI augmented textbook, which details the Learn Your Way system developed by Google's Learn LM team. It gives me a short answer quiz asking me to follow the questions or answer them in 2 to 3 complete sentences drawing exclusively from the provided material. So it's giving me about 10, and then it also gives me the essay questions as well. That's a really fun way if you are doing a research paper or you are studying for some material in class. I really do enjoy that feature. It looks like our video and our audio is generated. I'm not sure if the audio can play on this, but let me just test it out.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're really getting into something important. Moving.
I'm going to pause it there, but you can just, if you were able to hear, it was creating an AI audio podcast with two AI podcast hosts. And what's even cooler is this interactive button. So if I were to play the podcast and click this interactive mode, I can have a conversation with the hosts based off of the information that we've uploaded. So if I have a particular question and I click interactive mode and I'm asking them, let's say this question, can you please discuss what the sources say about adaptation to grade level in the larger context? It will actually respond to me in real time to help me better understand that concept. Apologies. We had a lot of students are out today. Another feature, let me exit out of that. Our textbook reader, this appears to be a new source. This might be the quiz. So according to the paper, what is the fundamental limitation of traditional textbooks that the Learn Your Way system is designed to overcome? So yeah, this is the quiz. There's a little hint section. So it's telling me to consider the core difference between a static book and a dynamic AI-powered tool. So if I wanted to go, people just say, let's just say C. And it is actually the right answer. So it says that the paper explicitly states that textbooks are a one-size-fits-all medium and that creating personalized versions manually is not scalable. And I absolutely agree. I find that the tools that Google is generating, such as this Learn Your Way, or in this instance, the NotebookLM, is a great way to learn and study as a whole. I want to take you over to the notebook that I've actually created for one of my classes. So last Friday, my Global Strategic Management course, they had their very first test. And week over week, I've been having them upload each individual chapter to the notebooks to prepare them to study for this quiz, or this test rather. Just to help them better prepare, I created my own notebook for my students. And this was the best way for me to help them study for this test. So I created that video overview for them, that audio overview. There's a timeline because we talked a lot about the history of strategic management over time, which is really cool. I also gave them their mind map, the study guide, an FAQ, a briefing doc, whatever I felt like they needed to be successful. I wanted to personalize that learning experience for them. I'm going to very briefly play the video overview that I generated. I'm not sure if the audio is going to play, so I'm just going to very quickly skim through the video itself. So I'm going to pause it right there. I personally did not do any of the design work for this video. I obviously didn't do the video overview as well, but it's a really fun and unique way to engage your students or just to learn any type of content better for yourself if you are both a visual and an auditory learner. So I'm going to go back to my little area in my studio app, and it looks like my video overview is taking the longest amount of time, and that's normal. Um, Oftentimes with large amounts of data, especially when you're creating something so complex, it is going to take a little bit. But this is just one way for you to take personalized learning to the next level. If you wanted to additionally discover some sources, that's a cool way as well. So it's just prompting me, what are things that I'm interested in? I want to say AI personalized learning. Personalized learning and submit. So it is discovering sources using Google's vast network, their vast search network. And we'll see what it has to discover for us. Okay, So it looks like we have a framework of artificial intelligence learning platform for education, AI meets higher education, personalized learning from Wikipedia, and so many other resources. I think for the sake of time, I'm just going to import all, but of course, we would want to vet all of our sources just to ensure that it's of quality. And you can do this with any topic as well. Let's just say I go back and I want to create a new notebook. I want to discover what am I interested in? Moving to the Midwest because I'm originally from Southern California and I want to learn more about this region. It is selecting my sources. I'm very curious to see what it's going to show. Cost of living data, that's very good. Specifically Missouri. I wasn't clear on Northeast Indiana. The state of the nation's housing, each state ranked for home building and affordability. I like it. We're going to import that. So you don't necessarily have to have the PDF document ready. You could just pick any topic of your choosing just to learn even further. Looks like one of them didn't go through, so I'll just remove that from my sources. Yeah. Actually a couple, but that's okay. And we could start the process all over again. I'm going to pause for a brief second. So I covered a lot of information. I want this to be very interactive. I'm going to briefly stop sharing and ask if there are any questions pertaining to using NotebookLM.
Well, it went pretty fast for me, but I'm glad it's
Sorry,
recorded,
Linda.
so I'll get a chance to go back over it. But when you did it the second time, that really helped me to capture some of the steps that I need to take. I love
Absolutely.
AI. I use it. I even encourage students to use it in the classroom.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Related to doing some kind of assignment that I've given them for research. Um, what are your thoughts on that? And what's the best way to do that just to safeguard that students don't get so comfortable using AI that they decide that every assignment I give them that they should use it? Because I have used it so much, I kind of sort of know a student's level of processing and the kind of quality that they give me. So what are
Yes.
some notes
I
I could give them to safeguard that?
Yeah, I tend to do a lot of in-class work.
Mm.
And I feel like that is the only way for me to mitigate that risk with using AI if I don't want them to. And even with my tests, everything is handwritten. It's more time
Oh.
it is more time consuming for me, unfortunately, but it is the only way that I can safeguard and ensure that they are not using technology in an unethical way.
Mm,
I will preface this by saying I incorporate a lot of AI into the classroom only
mhm,
because we're seeing it so much in the workforce,
mhm,
and I feel like it's my responsibility to teach them how to use it in an ethical way.
mhm,
So I in my syllabus, I show them how to cite if they use AI, how to cite their sources
mhm,
properly.
mhm.
They're building AI agents currently for their midterm, like a strategic management consultant agent.
Oh, wow.
So I'm helping them build that as well. But again, I do a lot of in-person handwriting, public speaking exercises. And
Mhm.
for me, that's the only way that I can stop it for now.
Yeah. Well, thanks for saying that because I believe they should be very familiar with AI, and that's why I always encourage it in the assignments in terms of what we do in class, inside the classroom as an interactive activity based on a topic. So thanks for
Yep.
sharing that. And I when I use it, but when I use it, I always cite a reference, letting the students
Yes.
know that it was enhanced. It enhanced what I was doing. I told them I put my own stuff in here and
Okay.
AI enhanced it. And then I leave a
Absolutely.
reference there letting them know that. So I appreciate the feedback. Thanks. And I love this
Oh, of
notebook thing.
course.
I'm not yet, I haven't nailed how to do this, but I'm going to work on it.
Yeah, and I'm more than happy to walk you through personally as well. So if you want to just shoot me an email, I can walk you through. I have a very poorly recorded demo of me doing this for my students on LinkedIn, so I can share that URL as well.
All right, good. That'll be great. Thank you.
Of course. Are there any other questions about Notebook LM? Okay, I am gonna reshare my screen to the main session only. I'm going to select Firefox. I'm going to allow. Okay. So one really fun exercise that I've been incorporating within the classroom are these custom GPTs. This has been a really fun way for my students to learn about strategic management from historical figures in time. So I'm going to just start with Sun Tzu. So I created a Sun Tzu GPT. But before that, I think I'll just start with this exam study guide, or actually, let me go back. My apologies. I was so excited to show you my custom agents because I was just talking about it that I forgot that we were still talking about how I was preparing my students for their exam. So in addition to doing the NotebookLM study guide, I also created a custom exam study assistant for my students. And the methodology that I used was I uploaded all of the chapters. I went over to the study guide section here, and then I went down. Well, actually, I think I copied all of the study guide, and I copied this text over into the back end. I'm not going to show you how to build it. I just want you to know where I pulled the information from. And this was a really interactive way for my students to prepare for their exam. So it's giving me just a basic question. Explain the difference between global and multi-domestic strategy. So it's very encouraging. It says it's a great question and that this is a core distinction in global strategy, and it often shows up on exams. Let's break it down clearly. So it's helping the students to learn in more depth about the global strategy, multi-domestic strategy, the big picture difference, and with a helpful reminder. Then it's prompting me even further. Would you like me to also show you how these fit into the integration responsiveness IR framework? That's often how exam questions frame the difference. I'm just going to say yes. Perfect. The IR framework is exactly how professors like to test this. Let's map it out step by step. So it's giving me the framework and explaining how managers decide how to compete internationally by balancing the two pressures. I actually caught a couple of my students at the cafe the other day using this GPT to help them study. And it really warmed my heart because I spent a lot of time and a lot of energy to build these tools and resources for them to be successful. And when I was asking for feedback, like, oh, what did you find most valuable? Did you find the notebook to be most valuable? Did you like the GPT? Each student had their own answer. Some students are more auditory learners, so they loved listening to the audio overview in Notebook. Some students love the breakdown with the chat GPT and they preferred this method. So my passion is really catering to the individual, catering to their own learning needs and their own preferences. And it's totally up to them how they want to engage. But if we wanted to just start a new chat, so there's no information on the back end, I just want to ask a question. I'm going to click this plus button here, and I'm going to scroll down to more. And then there is this feature called study and learn. So I am just going to enable that. So automatically, it's prompting me to help me with my homework, explain a topic to me, or create a practice quiz. So since we're on the topic of AI personalized learning, I would like to learn more about personalization in AI learning. Oops. In particular, sorry, I'm a terrible typer, in particular, in higher education. Okay, that is the only question I'm asking. Got it. So you want to dig deeper into personalization and AI learning, blah, blah, blah. Let's build this step by step, and I'll check in with you along the way so it's not just me lecturing. That's really cool. So our starting point, what does personalization mean? At its core, personalization in AI learning is about tailoring educational experiences to the individual learner rather than the average student. And in higher education, this usually shows up in areas like adaptive content delivery, personalized feedback, learner modeling, and choice and flexibility. So where is this currently happening? It's breaking it down, talks about the key benefits, some of the challenges, equity, Personalized AI may reinforce biases if not designed carefully, absolutely. Faculty role, how do professors balance personalization with fairness and consistency? Data privacy, student learning data is sensitive, absolutely. And over reliance, students may come to depend on the AI instead of building resilience and independence. So, a quick check in for me. Would you like to go deeper into the frameworks or more into the practical tools and case examples? I think I would like more of a practical example. I'm just having a conversation and I'm just letting my curiosity lead the way. So, some examples. So, currently at Arizona State University in their adaptive math courses, the problem that they're facing is that many incoming students are struggling with required math courses, leading to a high drop and fail rate. So, their current AI solution is that they've adopted ALEKS. It is an adaptive learning platform. Each student takes an initial diagnostic test. That AI builds a personalized learning path based on what the student already knows and where the gaps are. And as the student progresses, it adjusts in real time. So if they master a concept quickly, they move on. If not, the system gives extra practice and feedback. Apparently, the results, they've reported improved pass rates and better retention, especially among students who were previously at risk failing. So I love that. This is one way to engage. It's called study mode. Or another way to engage, as I shared, is to build that custom GPT. That's more of like an advanced level. I would be more than happy to demo that and maybe another time. I can upload a video to LinkedIn, talk about it in my newsletter. But I really like this feature a lot. I'm going to do the same thing over in Gemini. And actually, I'm going to copy this prompt because I want to A/B test it. So I'm in Gemini. I have the Pro version. I'm using the Pro model. I'm going to navigate over to Tools, Guided Learning, and I'm going to paste the same question. Okay, so it is thinking very hard. Okay, of course, personalized learning and higher education uses AI to tailor the educational experience to teach each student's unique needs, pace, and learning style, moving away from a one-size-fits-all approach. I can guide you through this topic with some questions. To get started, which of these areas are you most curious about? The technologies that power it, the benefits for students and faculty, or the challenges and ethical considerations? So I'm going to ask the audience if you can come off of audio for a brief second and just tell me, what would you like to learn more? Would you like me to ask it about 1, 2, or 3?
I think 3 would be really cool.
Great, perfect. And because I'm using the Pro version, the model takes a little bit longer because it's really working on the response. Okay, let's dive into the challenges and ethical considerations. While AI offers powerful tools for tailoring education, it also raises important questions again, fairness, privacy, and the nature of learning itself. We can break this down into a few key areas. So again, we're talking about that data privacy, how student data is collected, stored, and used to personalize their experience. Algorithmic bias, the risk of AI systems unintentionally reinforces or even amplifying is existing inequalities among students, and the role of the educator, how AI changes the job of a professor and what skills they need to adapt. Which of these concerns would you like to explore first? For the first one, I actually want to talk a lot about data privacy. I am not asking the students to enter any personal information when they're engaging in these materials. The only information that I've uploaded are free open educational resource materials, which are the textbook over here, and they're the ones that are engaging in the studio. Additionally, when we're in ChatGPT or even in Gemini, they're not sharing anything about themselves. They're just prompting the information to learn more about the concepts. In terms of the algorithmic bias, unintentionally reinforcing or amplifying inequalities, in this particular instance, I don't necessarily see an issue only because we're learning about the topic at hand, which is strategic management. there are a lot of talks about students and even how the algorithms are built. You know, most often not, they're built in Silicon Valley in California. Who are the people that are building these AI platforms? Well, they tend to all, most of the time, look and act the same. So how does that affect women? How does that affect minorities? There are a lot of considerations with how these algorithms have been built. So one of my favorite platforms is actually Anthropic Claude. Um, Claude was actually created by a group of researchers who started at OpenAI, which is where Sam Altman was leading, and they left to create Anthropic because they didn't feel like Sam had the best vision in terms of like safety and even ethics. So they've built Claude to be, they at least they say, to be a more ethical version of AI. And it's really up to you which platform you choose to engage in. I personally really love the Google platforms. I find that they're really focused on education and learning. I very hesitantly got a paid ChatGPT account only because of my personal views about the company and whatnot, but I'm a huge fan of Claude. I really like all of their algorithms and everything that they're doing over there. But I think for now, I want to learn more about the role of the educator. So I'm just going to keep clicking 3 because even my role has shifted so dramatically in this age of AI, and I feel like sometimes I spend less time lecturing and more time with like group work and talking amongst the class. So many experts see AI not as a replacement for instructors, but as a powerful assistant. It can automate tasks like grading, which I personally don't do, and basic content delivery, which fundamentally shifts the focus of the job. With AI handling some of these routine tasks, what do you believe becomes the most important function of a human professor in an AI powered classroom? For me, I think it is ethical use of AI, soft skills like public speaking and teamwork, critical thinking, absolutely, comma, amongst, if I can type, amongst others. And that's just to name a few off the top of my head. Refocusing on the human, validating and expanding. Okay, that's exactly right. You've hit on the core idea. So the professor's role shifts from being a sage on the stage to a guide on the side. That was a fun way of phrasing that. So professors should focus on cultivating uniquely human skills that AI can't necessarily replicate or assess, such as ethical reasoning, collaboration and communication, and critical thinking. So this definitely took a more ethical turn, which is fantastic because these are major concerns in academia as a whole. I'm constantly trying to reframe, how do I structure my classes? How do I empower my students to use AI? How do I get them to cite their sources? These are all major concerns. But through Google Gemini's guided learning, through ChatGPT study mode, and by building these custom agents, these are really fun and unique ways to help engage yourself, to engage your students, to just learn and understand concepts a little bit further. I'm going to pause and stop sharing here. So I talked on 2 different platforms and 2 separate, the guided learning and the study mode, the custom GPTs. I'm going to pause and ask, are there any questions on the 2 that I just showed?
I don't have any questions, but I didn't know about that hitting that plus thing in chat and going to that study mode. And so I went there and I punched in the classes that I teach, and it gave so much good information that I'm going to use one of them in my class tomorrow.
Oh, good. I'm so happy. That warms my heart. Yeah, I think that one was the study mode in ChatGPT. It's a really cool feature and it's available to everyone. It on the back end of both the Google Gemini model and the ChatGPT model, they have Socratic thinking. So it really tries to reinforce ideas and not just directly give you an answer. So I like that they've built it in. What was so fascinating is that they were direct competitors with each other. And right before the school season started, they were both touting, like, oh, we just launched this, we launched this. So as you start to follow more in the industry, you'll start to see that people are always trying to like one up each other with what they're trying to launch at any given time.
So are all these sites free, and are there any sites that you use that you actually pay for
Yeah,
personally?
yeah, the resources that I'm showing are free. However, I am paying for a more upgraded version, but the Notebook LM, absolutely, that is free. So you don't have to pay. I do prefer the Gemini Pro model versus the Flash. So I pay the $20 a month for that. My students, and I feel like the majority of students, really love ChatGPT. And because I wanted to do that custom exercise with like the historical figures, I paid the extra $20 for that. But I think once this class ends, I'll stop paying. And I want to switch over to Claude or Anthropic's Claude. I really like that platform. They're really big on this concept called vibe coding, which is essentially you tell it, please build me a website based off of my interest in tea, and it will build you an entire website. So for that reason alone and for the ethical considerations, I'll probably be switching over to Claude and paying for that as well.
Thanks for the feedback.
Oh, of course. Thank you for the
Could you
questions.
drop that Claude resource
Yeah,
into the chat later?
absolutely. Yeah, will do. Are there any other questions? Okay. I'm going to reshare my screen and show you one more tool. It's not live yet, but it's coming out. So if you remember at the beginning of the session, I shared this paper, oops, to the very top, towards an AI augmented textbook. So Google recently announced that they have this new experiment coming out called Learn Your Way. And it is a really fun and interactive way to reimagine textbooks with generative AI. So we're already doing that over here in the Notebook LM because I'm having the students copy and paste chapter readings. But this is a more visual way for students to engage. So it's talking about the research, the paper we explored. Here's a quick demo. This is for grade 7, an introduction to Newton's third law of motion. Looks like the student was really engaged in, or they really love skateboarding. So it's personalizing that experience based off of age, interests, and concepts. So really similar features to Notebook LM, but more, I would say, a better user interface in a really engaging way. So I'm excited for this to come out soon. And it's talking a little bit more about the methodology, the experience, the breakdown, what that's going to look like. So I'm incredibly excited for that. Um, yeah, they just announced it the other day, so I've been kind of keeping an eye on that. And just for fun, I wanted to show you in my freshman level business concepts class, they're doing a semester long project on a business plan. And I wanted them to get inspired and to just experiment rather. So I had them use that Claude, that Anthropic Claude tool, and they actually built a product requirement document. They answered 3 simple questions. It turned out this document. I had them copy and paste and create their own websites and apps. So here's just really quickly, this is one that I created. I shared my capstone project with them. I wanted to create a seasonal tea calendar. So it's not the best. It's just a prototype. So based off of the season or the month, so we're in September. So this season's harvest is the second flush Darjeeling, High Mountain Oolong, and the Himalayan black teas. But if we were to go to March, which is in spring, it's still going to be the Darjeeling, but now we have our Japanese Sencha and our Chinese green teas. So this is a really cool prototype for my students to visualize creating a business, what a landing page might look like. And I want to share just a couple of their examples. This is more advanced. One student wanted to do an IT support for students because sometimes IT isn't always awake. So he wants to start a business to do that. So this was a really quick rough draft of that website. And this student actually built an app. So it's an AI powered outfit recommendation just for you. And they built this in like 15 minutes. So I'm just gonna quick click some questions. I'm not really into some of these. And then I could upload some examples of my wardrobe, but I'm gonna skip for now. And hypothetically, it would give me some of my outfits for the day. So I was just really proud of my students that they built these, and I wanted to share a little bit more about what you can do with AI and vibe coding in general. But we covered a lot of ground. We talked about Google's NotebookLM. We talked about ChatGPT's study mode. We talked about Google's guided learning. We briefly talked on Anthropic and their Claude model, creating agents, vibe coding. So there was a lot that we discussed. Is there any additional questions or requests for resources that I could help provide or guide or direct?
Sorry to be the monopoly and to monopolize all these questions.
No.
But I love this concept of Claude and the website development. So Claude will, or anyone like you have your students develop their website. So how is that
Yeah.
uploaded? Because it's a website, and so do they have to have their own website, or is it uploaded? How does that work? Once they develop it, how is it uploaded and shared in class?
Yeah, so I feel like this is advanced level. I'm gonna take us back over here, and I'm gonna go. If we were in Gemini, for example, I would click this canvas button. Build me a website speaking to this information. Okay, so it's planning, structuring, mapping, and it's coding in HTML in real time, which is crazy, just based off of that little conversation we had about the personalization of AI learning in higher education. So it's doing its thing, and it's building, and it's thinking. And in a short amount of time, I would hope that I would be able to preview this, but this is where the website is. So it gave me a really fun name, The Evolving Professor. How cute. From sage on the stage to guide on the side. Artificial intelligence is not replacing educators. Instead, it's prompting a fundamental shift. And it broke it down into like a really well laid out website. And if I wanted to share this, I would just go to share and I would copy this link. And actually, I'm gonna, oops. I realized I wasn't sharing my screen on that. I'm so sorry, Linda. Do
That's
you want me to
okay.
reshare and do that again?
Oh, that's okay. If you want to put your link in this chat box and I can go look at it, that'd be great.
Ooh, I feel so bad. Let me go back.
But I know that I can do it
Okay.
on Canvas, so that's a good note thing.
My apologies. I got so excited.
It's cool.
So I went over to Google Gemini
Mhm.
and I clicked down here. It was originally guided learning, and I
Mhm.
clicked this canvas button.
Yeah.
And I prompted it to build me a website based off of this information. So it was coding in HTML in real time. And then it actually built this entire website for me. So I'm going to copy this link. I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to go to the chat and I'm going to paste it. So
Cool.
now all of you can see the little mini website that I built based off of the conversation that I was having. I'm so sorry I wasn't sharing my screen for the most of it. I get so excited about this topic.
Oh, how cool is that? I just went over there. Thank you for sharing.
Are there any other questions? Okay. Kelly, I believe that's it.
Shay, this has been
Oh,
unbelievable.
and I can't hear you.
Oh, do we have video yet? Audio yet? Check. I'm not sure why.
I hear you, Kelly.
Oh, Shay, maybe it's your audio?
Yeah, because I can hear you as well.
Well, I am absolutely thrilled that we have had this opportunity to learn from you. Totally mind-blowing stuff, Shea, and I'm just really excited. I hope that we've had some students on here, and I'm going to actually start hosting just an AI playground up in the business office suite. And if folks want to just come in and share with each other the kinds of things that they're working on and that they're trying, that would just be super exciting. So I'll probably show your video again for people who weren't able to be here so that we can continue to get students just trying out some really great tools and also faculty trying out some really great tools. We really, really appreciate you spending this time with us. So at this point, we are going to shift to our next speaker. And so Shea, thanks again. And we are going to welcome Holly to our screen.